Thank you. We have Susanna today for our detox and how we can really leverage our lymphatic system's health to have a better wellness overall because our lymphatic system is pretty much our sewage, our garbage system. And if it's stuck, if it's slow, it will cause a lot of different problems, how our energy will feel, how our immune system will be affected. So we're very grateful to have Susanna here today. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Susanna. Hi.
Hi,
So can you give
Ben.
us a little bit background of like lymphatic and what your background with lymphatic system is?
Yes. I've been around the lymphatic subject for 13 years. I'm applied lymphatic certified applied lymphologist. And when I dove into the subject of lymphatic, it was at the time, it was such an misunderstood, if not even a
Mhm.
known aspect of our health. And this is how critical it is. Without it, we're dead in 24 hours. Okay, so this
Oh,
unique
wow.
lymphatic system, its role is to clean out, like you said, it's like the sewage removal system, and it helps us detox, purify our system. And we can go into how the mechanics work really briefly, and then how we can keep it working optimally.
Perfect. So uh, do you have slides that you want to show us on like how
Sure.
this lymphatic, because lymphatic to my knowledge is everywhere in our body, right? It's
It
pretty much from head to toe, you know. Oh, there we go.
yes. So it is. The lymphatic system. Fun fact. So there's a network of vessels throughout our body. It's right underneath our tissue of our skin. And there's little lymph nodes all over our system, our body. And there's fluid that moves through our lymphatic vessels. And its role is to take all the lymphatic fluid, it's protecting us from environmental stressors like microbes and this toxins and things that are entering into our body, and then it takes it and pulls it up through our thoracic system and out of our digestive, out of our sewage, our I would say our through our urine and our, using the bathroom. That's how we get rid of it out of our body. I get that a lot. So when it's clogged, so here's the difference between the blood that's running through our body. Our blood can circulate through our system because of our heart, because the heart is a pump. It's pumping this every single second that you're living and breathing, right? But the lymphatic system does not have a pump. Okay. So if it's not circulating, it starts to become stagnant. And what causes us to circulate it is through muscle contraction. So like so literally going out and walking, rebounding, heavy deep breathing. Those activities help to contract our muscles so that can move the fluid out of our body where it needs to go. Now, if there's no pumping action, then we start to feel certain symptoms of a sluggish lymphatic system. We can go into that too.
So what are the symptoms? So I think a lot of people don't even know if they have like bad lymphatic system or slow lymphatic system. We always hear that, oh, I have a lymphatic knot here. Like it always happens around the neck or even like under the arm for like a lot of women, like under the armpits. That's when they freak out, right? They're like, oh, do I have cancer? Do I have like all sorts of stuff? So how do we know we have a slow or toxic lymphatic system or and when they see lumps like is it like a red flag or is this like a yellow like what should they freak out like what should we do when we see something like that?
Yeah. So common symptoms is, first of all, energy. So you wake up in the morning and you don't feel as energetic. So if you're living a sedentary lifestyle and you're starting to feel more aches and pains when you wake up in the morning, it's taking a little longer, you get brain fog, you have a little more puffiness in your body, especially your belly and under your armpits. If you start seeing a puff versus a pit, so most all of us should be having like a pit. If there's a puff, that's an indicator of a sluggish lymphatic. There's fluid building up. It causes puffiness all over the body. If you have aches and pains, joint pain, pain in the back, It just general, like, just a feeling of muscle tension, things like that. Especially if you're sedentary, that's an indicator that there's lymphatic fluid building up. And think of it like a lake. So a lake, in order to have fresh water, it needs to have current running through it,
Right.
energy. And if there's no energy or current to pump it through, it starts to build up like sewage, like toxins, and start to get mucky and cloudy. And that is what's happening over time. And it's starting to happen when we don't know until one day we wake up and we feel a little different. Like, oh,
Right.
this doesn't feel right.
So like, so when we see lumps, that's just like a red flag. Like, hey, we gotta start moving, we gotta start exercising, and like getting all those dirty, stagnant water out of our system. So
Yes.
do you think, would you recommend us to have enough water to replace that fluid, or like is this a crucial? Like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like to drink water. I like to like juice, I like to have tea, I like to have all those stuff. Like, do you think that's like already good enough, or we should stick with like water where we need to replace those fluids in the lymphatic system?
Okay, so let's do a little science behind the fluid. So, fun fact, we actually have more lymphatic fluid, 3 to 4 times more lymphatic fluid than we have blood in our body.
No way.
A lot. It's a lot. So little background on the science of it. So in our tissues are cells. So we have cells, and our cells, in order to survive, they need to have oxygen and nutrients. They have to be able
Right,
to connect and have that environment. So that's an optimal environment. But when there's fluid around the cells, then that is called a condition where the cells start to not have oxygen. So you know what happens when we don't have oxygen? We start to die. So that tissue is starting to deteriorate. And under those conditions, you start to develop what science would call diseases. Okay.
right,
So you need proper conditions in order for it to be in this sort of dry state. Now, again, stimulating the lymphatic. So if people are starting to feel little lumps and things like that, and heavy breathing, hydration, here's a couple of things you can do. Is first of all, exercising is ideal. Go
even
out,
walking, right?
exercise,
Even walking counts.
walking, rebounding. We'll
Bouncing.
talk. Bouncing is actually excellent to help move the lymphatic. There's valves inside the lymphatic system. There are valves, and they only open one direction, and that's the direction where it needs to go, and it shuts down so they don't back up, right? So when you're doing that pumping action, you're opening those vessels up, those little to open and move that fluid.
Right,
Now, the other things you can do is also nutrition. Nutrition is essential. So, giving your tissues conditions like antioxidants, high antioxidants, just proper nutrition to help your lymphatic do its job is essential. Breathing, hydrating, having with minerals as well. And then we can talk about other ways that we've discovered recently that we can use that I have seen over the last 6 months, miraculous, just amazing results from people who are, for one, sometimes are not able to be as active as they want
right.
to be, but there's other ways that they can still get an optimal lymphatic condition using certain strategies.
So is this a tool or massage, or like what kind of what are we talking about?
So a few months ago, I came across this tool, and this is a couple. It's next generation amazing microtechnology or microcurrent technology. So what I loved about it is it's very simple. It's very small, very simple to use. It's designed to be on the body, and there's sensors in here, and it's measuring the skin resistance of the body, and then it's outputting the actual current that it needs in order to treat specific areas. So the body is getting a different treatment each time. It's literally measuring like 100 times a second. And so
Wow.
it's so what you need on the shoulders, what you need under the pit and the back of your legs could be different. So you're going to get a different treatment for those areas. The other thing it does is also because it's microcurrent. The tissue, the cells of the tissue, the cells inside have a pump itself. It's called a potassium magnesium pump. And it's helping to keep the balance of the state of cells, like the way they're supposed to be. When there's too much fluid, like in that area we're talking about, what causes the puffiness, when there's too much fluid, that pump needs to start acting. And the microcurrent and the stimulation activates and powers up those energy centers to start pumping in, so that goes from that wet to dry state. So this is why when people feel a little achiness, they feel like maybe they get a little injury sometimes. When there's an injury, the body is moving quickly chemically to address the injury, and it promotes lymphocytes, which is the white cells, and to start the healing process. But what's causing that area to swell is the fluid. So what we have found by stimulating this tissue while it's swelling, it actually moves the fluid, it actually reduces the inflammation, and the person starts to feel less discomfort as a result. And it can happen in a matter of minutes. It's very quick.
Wow. So like one or two kind of treatment, and you can see the results already. And you
Immediate.
mentioned immediate too.
Immediate.
You mentioned about like inflammation, right? So I see a lot of people have inflammation with different disease or just inflammation itself from this like ill health, right? Not well. So this can help with the inflammation.
Inflammations, what causes those inflammations is could be various things. It could be lifestyle choices. It could be the food we
Right.
eat. It could be mental, even mental, like if we're under stress all the time, that can cause our body go into an inflamed state. Inflammation is very prevalent, especially in our Western society. And most people are walking around not even knowing that they're inflamed. Okay, until they start to feel it. Okay, so that's an indicator of a sluggish lymphatic system. So by addressing it, by using these tools we're talking about to help the lymphatic to move the fluid to so it leaves, like, again, it's a sewage system. You have to imagine, like, you have every week the truck goes by and you got your garbage out there, but you never take the garbage out.
Yeah.
It's just building up in your system. So yeah, so the inflammation, we find especially when we're doing light touches, stimulation, especially with this device, um, it's happens very immediately. It starts to move that tissue state from a wet to dry state, and as people start to feel better. And of course, it's external stimulation. So again, that plus nutrition, and if you can get the body moving, then
Yeah.
you're in a good place.
So you mentioned about like doing like spots treatments, and you said lymphatic is only going one way. So let's say if we're doing like our neck or our arm or body, like which way should we go? Or is there a particular spot where we can like use it on so that it's moving it the right way instead of the other way? Like how
Yes.
should we use this tool?
Let's pull this visual up again. So you want to, the way the fluid moves is up the arteries towards the chest, and then down the
Okay.
arteries through the thoracic, okay, and then out our digestive, so that direction. So when you're using it, you want to go in the upwards direction. So if you're in the arms, you want to go
So
from
towards
bottom
like
towards your heart, sweeping that way. If you're starting at the legs, and the legs, we find a lot of people have epidema or edema, lymphedema. Edema is just pulling of liquid down in the ankles. They get swollen because they're sitting too long. There's lack of circulation. But we have seen people use it from the legs upwards, so upwards towards the heart, and we can see literally before our eyes, like the edema, just diminishing within a few minutes. Um, we've seen if you're working on like the chest or the back, we don't recommend this on the chest area, but like in the back, it's towards the heart.
towards
That's
the
the
heart.
direction. Yeah.
Downwards. How about the neck area or the pit? So I'm guessing the pit is going downwards towards our heart, right? and our
Yes,
neck is coming downwards towards our heart as well.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so like, how about the pressure? Do we have to use a lot of pressure? Do we have to like a certain way to twirl around, or like, or it's just like
Yeah,
what kind of?
that it doesn't require a lot of pressure. So sometimes I do like a demo with my fingers. This is how much pressure you really need. So like we have a artery right here. So when you turn your neck, there's this nice little elegant muscle. Along that muscle is a string of lymph nodes.
Okay.
And I'll do a demo. Like we take the pads of your fingers and you just gently sweep them down like 20 times. People start to swallow because you're starting to feel that's what you're draining. You're draining lymphatic fluid towards your thoracic right here, and it starts to go down, and that helps drain. So if you're using a device like this, it could be gentle. It doesn't have to be, a pressured, situation. It could be very gentle, and you'll still get that stimulation.
So how would you compare this to, like, let's say like you said, like using fingers, lymphatic massages, or going to a massage parlor, or even like there's like those guasa tools, or like those different tools versus this tool. Like I'm hearing that this particular tool has microcurrent that leverages microcurrent to open those valves in our cells. Like how would you compare to like just hand or physical tools or tools without current? Like how would we compare these two things?
Well, the current has its own specialty on tissue. It actually helps the tissue open up. If you're using any ingredients as a medium to conduct it, but sometimes people use it with a gel, it helps it go into and target those areas. So that promotes that. And also the electrical current is also again powering up those cells. It's powering it up. We're electrical bodies. That's
Right.
magnet electric. And so it's just helping sort of accelerate the tissue repair and the tissue um, to help the feeling of discomfort if there's any discomfort. So, and also the other thing that other benefits that women especially are really happy about is microcurrent therapy, which is used prevalently in like med spas and things like that. Helps the tissue to sort of contour the skin. It diminishes wrinkles. It diminishes. In addition to because you mentioned earlier about weight loss, the puffiness when they use it on their stomach, the lymphatic
Wow.
is also depuffing the stomach area, so they start to see this sort of a contoured finish on their stomach. So they think, oh, am I losing weight or am I just removing the fluid? Because that's what's really going on. So it serves both as an integrated sort of wellness, but also there's a beauty benefit that women are absolutely, and men are absolutely loving, especially I have a couple of stories I can share if you want, if we have some time about sport.
Yeah, I love it.
So in sports, the muscles that are used heavily, they are, I had a marathon runner, 15 years, for example, a story, and she's been running, and she, for the first time, decided to try this tool to prep her muscles. So it serves like a sort of a massage to help create enhanced circulation and prepare the muscles for performance. She went on a run. She beat her record, her personal record, by 20 minutes.
What? That's 20 minutes, not even 20 seconds. 20 minutes.
Beat her record. Typically, after a marathon run, she's beat. I mean, she's got to rest for a couple of days. And she sent me a video testimonial 2 days later, and she was doubting herself, thinking, did I really run as hard as I could have? Because I feel like I can go on another run again. And she's got kids, two kids, pair of twins. And she's like, I'm here and help. I didn't need that rest time like I needed. Like her recovery period, it accelerated very quickly. And she was like, what did I do different? this time this year, and the only thing that she had done was added this to her routine. So yeah, so with people who are workout enthusiasts, if they want to enhance their performance to help prep and warm up the muscles, this is a great tool. And if they want to accelerate the recovery period so that they have less, when you get soreness, you have less of that so that you recover faster. That's a great tool for that.
It's amazing. So do we use it before and after for in this case for the sport recovery and the people who work out and runs a lot? So both before and after.
Yeah,
And how
before.
long do you suggest for people to use it on is it a daily day or just like a weekly thing? Like how often and how many minutes do we use it for each session? Like, is it like like an hour where we have to swipe for? Like, how long do we need it?
It doesn't take a lot, actually. A few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. So what I love about this device, this tool, is that there's a lot of microcurrent tools out there, and there's a lot of massage type tools,
Yeah,
and a little learning curve involved. All right, so some people, and they're a little more expensive, and some people end up abandoning it, so they don't even use it, which is kind of sad because we really need to have that kind of stimulation. What I loved about this tool is it's simple. It's only one button, and the rest, it does the rest because it's sensing where it needs to use a proper current. And then secondly, there's a timer on there. So there's a 5-minute timer. So for people who work out, 3 minutes before, 3 minutes after per muscle group. Okay.
okay.
So if you're working now, you're building your biceps, working on your biceps, right? Um, for a daily routine, what I love about it is the company who created this particular tool thought of everything, and they wanted the user to have a really easy experience, but very effective experience. So even if you want, you could choose to use it with the app that's designed for it. So you can tell the app exactly what your goals are. Like, what are your target goals? Do you want it for wellness? Do you want it to target specific beauty, aesthetic? You tell it what you want, and it'll create an entire routine that it can guide you. And it's like a coach in your hand that
Yeah,
can
yeah,
guide
yeah.
you how to use it.
That's amazing. So like this tool can be used like before and after, and then just on spot treatments, whatever we're working on. And no matter where we're working on, how often or how long we're using it, it will benefit our muscle recovery and most importantly, like our lymphatic system, getting those trashy, yucky, stagnant fluids out of our body and really helping the recovery time, detoxing time, and just overall health and wellness. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. No, I'm very passionate about this technology. It's just amazing what science is coming through these days. So the goal is for people to feel really good about themselves, to just live a healthy longevity, just so they can enjoy life, and not be
Right.
stuck where they're at. There's hope. There's solutions out there, and I'm very grateful that you're bringing this to your community and your audience so that they learn something that's really really neat.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you. But so last question, as an expert in lymphatic system, like how how much of a recommendation would you tell everyone to have this tool versus like just doing it by hand? Like what's the main like recommendation? Like would you say out of 10, like it's like a must-have kind of deal, or like as an expert of lymphatic system, like what would
um,
you tell all these people who are watching?
I'd say a 1 out of 10. I'd say it's a 12.
Oh, wow.
Because if we understand the role, again, like I said, without our lymphatic system, we're dead. This is how critical it is.
Right.
And if you're feeling what we had said earlier, those symptoms of sluggishness, less energy, foggy, headaches, um, just aches, pains, and things like that, it plays a role in those conditions. And so we're introducing you to a concept, not even a concept, it's science, that if you're helping your lymphatic, which needs a pump, and you're the pump, you actually have to take a proactive step here to help it do its job. Of course, you could do using exercise, you could do it rebounding, heavy breathing, proper nutrition, hydration. But this, if you're feeling aches, pains, and things like that in minutes and you want some relief, this is key. This will help quite a bit in those efforts.
12 out of 10. That's amazing. So you also mentioned a little bit about like the medium that the gel that we use. Is that very crucial or is that like a bonus kind of deal?
It uses electrical current, so it's a microcurrent, and it needs to target the tissue. So there needs to be a medium in which it can target that tissue, and it has to be conductive. So
Got
it
it.
does use, it does come. So if somebody wants to, get one, it does come with microcurrent gel to help it. So there's other ingredients there's other gels and systems out there like that the brand does offer with it. It's a whole other subject matter. It's a whole science behind genetic expression, which is fascinating to me because I was wondering, because I'm a very curious person, and the feedback that we're getting from people using this over a course of 90 days and seeing the before and afters, and they're blowing people away. I had to find out because it can't be all just from this tool. And I started diving into the different bodies and serums that was being used, and I'm finding like, wait a second, there's a whole science about resetting the genetic expression on the skin. And like, wow, okay, there's a whole compass. So they go hand in hand when you're using it together. Yeah.
Got it. So thank you. That's amazing. That'll be our probably next episode for resetting our gene expression with our skin and things that we use in our body or on our body. But this tool definitely helps with our lymphatic system, the health. And if you're feeling sluggish, slow, pains, ache, this will definitely alleviate your pain in a matter of minutes. And you can do it at home in comfort of your own home. And no matter how you do it, there's no right or wrong way. It's just pretty much towards your heart, and you will feel the amazing change. Thank you, Susanna, for all these amazing tips and introducing us to this amazing tool where we can continue to be healthier and feel younger and more vibrant with just a simple tool like that. Thank you, Susanna.
Welcome.
Appreciate your
My
time.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you. Let me stop it.